Welcome to Scorched Earth and a bonus reading for Scorpio for the month of March. Using the Crow Tarot for you today. And the reason why you're getting a bonus reading is because I did your Scorpio reading a couple of days ago and I just wasn't really happy with it. Like, it seemed kind of rambling and vague. I don't know if that's how it seemed to you, but I thought I would do another and just see if there was anything else that came up. I haven't actually gone back and watched it, so it might not have been as rambling and vague as I thought it was. But nonetheless, I kind of feel compelled to do it. So let's see what gives with this. Give me 3 cards for Scorpio. Fuck me. Right, okay. That's probably me instantly demonetized. Right. We got the High Priestess, the 4 of Swords, and the 3 of Wands in reverse. And I was going to put some more cards, but I think I've got the 3 that I wanted, so I'm going to leave it there because you are here at the bottom of the deck. This is the card of Scorpio, the Death card, but it is the card of all change as well. And I think that that might be possibly what March has in store for you. I've just kicked my cards everywhere, right? So it's interesting because the High Priestess and the 4 of Swords are both cards that speak of a lack of movement, right? The High Priestess is a very passive card. There's not, you know, it can be a card of waiting and seeing and observing, and I feel like there is a lot of that going on with you at the moment. Just notice that all those cards that I just knocked off the top have exposed the High Priestess underneath here, so we can certainly feel that that's a valid interpretation. The same with the 4 of Swords. Like, the 4 of Swords is retreating, is holding your own counsel, like processing your own stuff. But this 3 of Wands is the change for March. Let's have a look here. Tell me about this High Priestess. We've got the Emperor and we've got the Queen of Swords. Interesting. Tell me about the 4 of Swords, please. We've got the 9 of Swords and the Hanged Man. Tell me about this 3. Whoa, there we go. We've got the 3 of Swords in reverse, and whatever this is down here, the 7 of Cups in reverse. This is, right, I really should have gone back and watched the other one so I could tell whether it was the same. But we've got the 2 of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. There is definitely a sense of you approaching some kind of decision, something. Like, I feel like you're about to evolve again in some ways, Scorpio. And maybe you feel this coming. I think that you do feel this coming because we've got the 2 of Wands there and we've also got the 3 of Wands here in March, right? So there's a sense of hitting a crossroads, needing to make a decision, and then that decision actually being made. But let's have a look and see what else is going on here, because the High Priestess, like I said, it's quite static energy. It's watching, it's observing, it's knowing. And I think a lot of you are listening to your own instincts about things at the moment, and I think it's speaking to you in a voice that at the moment is quiet, but it's getting louder, right? There is a pull here towards doing something, and I think for a lot of you, you're actually probably engaged in some actions and you don't really know why you're doing them at the moment, right? That this is coming through very strongly, and maybe you're starting to tidy up your property, say, or you're tidying up your finances, or you're sitting with something that feels like it's trying to emerge from you here. And you know what you're doing in response, you don't really know why you're doing it, but it's because it's all intuitively guided. We've got the Emperor and the Queen of Swords underneath there, like both cards of a lot of mental activity. Because although the Emperor is Aries and as such, you know, a fire sign, and so it's often about taking action, the Emperor is about being in control, it's about being in charge, it's about planning and strategizing. And what you're planning and strategizing for, I don't think that you know. Like I said, High Priestess is the main card here, but it's happening anyway. You know, just feel like you might have a bit more energy than usual, and you just kind of like, I'll just do these things, I'll just do this, I'll just do the other. And we've got the Queen of Swords here as well. Now, the Queen of Swords is with the King of Swords, like the pinnacle of the sword suit. And she is the feminine, obviously, and the King is the masculine energy. But the King and the masculine is also, energetically speaking, active. This is more passive. This is mental consideration of what is going on before, making a decision on something. This is planning and strategizing beforehand about something. And I don't think that you know what you're doing it for, but you've just been doing it anyway. And when we come into your present energy, we've got the Four of Swords. Now, like I said, also a card of not actually taking any action. It's a card of, it follows on from the Three of Swords, right? So it's that point of withdrawal. Often it's a card of taking a break with things so that you can process stuff. It sort of implies that you're keeping the world at arm's length at the moment because you've got stuff going on here. I don't think you know quite what the stuff is, and yet there is this urge to get things done. But the cards that you've got underneath are the Nine of Swords and the Hanged Man. Now this is interesting because you've now had the two most passive cards in the tarot. This one is, this is the most passive, followed by the High Priestess. And it talks about submission. It can talk about waiting, kind of even, like literally hanging around, waiting for an opportunity. But we've got the Nine of Swords here too. And the other thing that the Hanged Man talks about is a change in perspective. Now, as I'm speaking, I feel like it's the change in perspective of something that has been troubling you. And that trouble can take any form, we can see everything from, mild concern, mild worry, to full-on, full-blown mental illness implied by this card here, and everything in between. So insomnia and, patchy eating habits and being very distracted about stuff while you're trying to work through things. Like, I feel like you've given yourself a bit of space from whatever is in front of you so that you can deal with whatever this is, wherever it is that you're being intuitively sort of guided to look at this point, so that you can extricate from it the wisdom that you need to move on. I'm going to pull another couple of cards for this because I'm quite interested. Tell me about this Nine of Swords and Hanged Man. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles. I like that. It's taking care of yourself. But I think some of you might be actually combing over your finances and maybe considering your environment altogether. Maybe you're getting ready for some sort of move of some description, whether it's, a house move or a job move, or changing some aspect of your immediate environment around you. Tell me about this Nine of Swords. Thank you. Ten of Cups, yeah. And King of Wands here. You're searching for something without really knowing that you're searching for it, but there's emotional well-being here that is implied by the presence of the Ten of Cups. Your family, your friends, yours, but all of you collectively. It seems to me like you're trying to find a solution to a problem, but you're trying to get an answer to a question that you haven't quite asked yourself yet. What about the Hanged Man? Thank you. We've got the Empress, yeah. Because there are changes that you want to make. There are new things afoot. We've got the Ace of Swords down here, which I like because it does say to me that the wisdom that you're looking for, the reason that you've hung yourself upside down from a tree in the first place. Oh my God, that was my tummy gurgling, I'm sorry. Is coming with this Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is the truth, but it can also be epiphanies. It can be mental creativity. And when we're talking about looking for answers to a question that you haven't asked yet, here is the question arriving, and almost simultaneously the answer coming fully formed into your mind. This is what I have to do, and it making sense of all of the things that you have been doing intuitively for the last couple of weeks without really knowing why you're doing them. When we come into March, we have the Three of Wands. And I like this because not only does it follow on from that Two of Wands that we were talking about before, there it is, but it's action. It is moving out of this state of stasis that you have been in and going off in a whole new direction. Like this crow here is staring at the star. There's a definite sense of the future now being something that you are not only actively considering, but now taking steps towards. It's coming up with the Three of Swords in reverse and the Seven of Cups in reverse too. Now, it's interesting because the Three of Swords is the card that precedes the Four of Swords, and we've already had the Four of Swords. So that's a thing here. But it's also interesting because the Three of Swords has turned up in reverse. Now that to me speaks of healing here, right? And what we have is almost a mental consideration of the healing that has taken place and that still needs to continue for sure. And a lot of this, I feel, revolves around the fact that there's something in your environment that at the moment is not good, whether it is literally the environment that you're in or something that needs to be changed, because where there's no movement now, there's movement coming in March, and it's directed by you, very much so. With that Three of Wands there, it's all coming from you. It's not you being forced into something. This is you making a decision about how you're going to change. Actually everything, it feels like to me. Tell me about this Three of Swords. We've got the Four of Wands and we've got the Five of Swords in reverse. It's very interesting because the Four of Wands is my card of home, and not necessarily your four walls, but the people that feel like home to you. You know, you get some really good news. Who do you ring to tell them? Who do you text? Who do you send a message to? That is home to you. You know, but it's the creation of a new foundation too, right? It is about looking at what you got and going, it just doesn't fit with who I am now. I have to do something different. And then doing it, actually building that thing here. We've got the Five of Swords in reverse, which is when it's in its upright, the Five of Swords to me can speak of several things, right? We've got Pyrrhic victories, right? One where you do anything to win, or somebody does anything to win, including saying anything to win. Like if you've been trying to talk to someone, if you've been trying to convince someone of something, and they're just not listening, and instead what they're doing is picking holes in you, ad hominem attacks, that sort of thing. That is very strong Five of Swords energy. But that's the external manifestation of it. The internal manifestation of it is cognitive loops that we get stuck in, where we only see things one way, and no matter how hard we try, we don't seem to be able to disconnect from that in any particular way. When it shows up in the reverse, it's a stabilization of that inherently unstable energy. And so what you have is somebody finally seeing the way to break out of a mental thought pattern that they've had. Now consider the fact that we've got that Three of Swords in reverse. We've got healing occurring here, and an intellectual appreciation of exactly what has been wrong. And we have clarity with this Seven of Cups coming, emotional clarity. And we also have this card in reverse as well, saying that your mind is catching up with it. It feels like March is a convergence for you of all of these kind of fairly discrete things all coming together and just arriving in a this is a solution kind of way for you. And you're like, this is it. This is what I've been preparing for without even realizing what I was doing. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to build something new off the back of it. Yeah, what? Ooh. There's the Tower. I love this Tower card. If you haven't seen it before, it took me a minute or two to work it out when I first got this deck, but that's the scene. And this is how it feels when the Tower hits. But I'm not concerned for you in the slightest, because this Tower feels like it's very self-directed. We've got the World card at the bottom of the deck as well, like you're blowing something up. And remember, every act of creation involves an act of destruction beforehand, and this seems to be what you're doing. The month of March is when the action happens, but up until that energy hits, up until that Ace of Swords moment for you, you're not going to know quite which direction it's going in. So yeah, Like I said, I actually have literally no idea whether this is the same as the reading that I did. I feel like it's slightly different, actually, which is interesting. So, yeah, I'm going to, should I do? I don't know whether to do another Vimeo for this one. I don't think I do. I think I'm going to keep this nice and short, and I'm going to keep it as a bonus thing. And maybe they'd weave in together quite nicely, who knows. Yeah, so the Vimeo, the extended, the link is in the description box. It's actually to the other Scorpio video. I'll put something in the description box to make sure that that's understood. But this looks really good. I like this for you a lot, Scorpio. So, I hope that this helps. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I will see you soon.